फर्स्ट ठेवलं का त्यांनी आपण का ना
दिसतोय का स्क्वेअर
तर
स्क्रीन दिसतोय का?
एक मिनिट सर. हा ओके दिसतोय सर. हॅलो
आवाज येतोय व्यवस्थित?
एकदम व्यवस्थित येतोय.
आवाज व्यवस्थित येतोय का?
येतोय व्यवस्थित येतोय.
आणि
आहेत क्या
ह्याच्यासारखं हे लावण्याची काही गरज नाही ना मायक्रोफोन?
मी आता चालू करतोय सर.
ठीक आहे सुरू करा सर.
ओके
आय एम रेडी.
ओके. Good afternoon, all of you. It is my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Professor Dr. K.Y. Rajpure sir. Professor Keshav Yashwant Rajpure is currently working as a professor in the Department of Physics and head of U6 CFC at Shivaji University, Kolhapur. He was born on 24 July 1971 in small village of Satara district. He was the first ranker student throughout his academic career. He had completed BSc degree in physics at Rayat Shikshan Sanstha's Sharad Chandra Pawar College, Lonan in 1992 with university first rank. As a result, he was awarded with Professor Firke Award, Warange Award and Small Scholarship. Then he was a member of Shivaji University Student Council. In 1994, he successfully completed MSc Physics and secured Kulkarni Damlikar Award for having stood first in the merit. He worked as Junior Research Fellow and Senior Research Fellow under the guidance of Professor Dr. C.H. Bhosle and was awarded with PhD degree in the year 2000. He had qualified state eligibility test set examination in physical sciences in the year 2002, even though the result of this examination was only 0.1%. His interested research topics include thin films, solar cells, transparent conducting oxides, photoelectrochemistry, gas sensors, and photocatalysis, that is water purification. He was honored for this contribution in research work by awarding a life membership of Maharashtra Academy of Science at National Chemical Laboratory, Pune in the year 2015. Till now, he has published 211 research articles in reputed international journals and acquired 7,372 citations. This is a huge number. H-index of his publication is 51. He has successfully guided 14 PhD, 2 MPhil and 59 MSc students. Currently, 5 PhD scholars are working under his guidance. He participated in more than 50 national and international conferences and has organized most of the conferences organized by his department. He has published 5 books and filed 2 patents. He successfully completed 5 research projects worth rupees 86 lakhs, which were funded by various funding agencies of central government. He was instrumental in establishing various facilities in PISP, Physics Instrumentation Facility Center. So, university has entrusted additional responsibilities of head of the department of UC, University Science Instrumentation Center and CFC Common Facility Center on him. Currently, he is working as coordinator of SAFE Sophisticated Analytical Instrumentation Center, Facility Center at Shivaji University. He is a member of Board of Studies of Karnataka, Karnataka University, Dharwad, TC College, Baramati, and an autonomous college, Vivekanand College, Kolhapur, DKT, Italkaranji, JSPM's Rajastri Shaw College of Engineering, Tathavde, Pune, and KBP College, Pandharpur. He is sharing his experience to various institutes on these bodies. He is working as a PhD referee for various universities. He is a member of Marathi Vigyan Parishad, Material Research Society of India, Semiconductor Society of India, SSI, Indian Physics Association, IPA, and Indian Association of Physics Teachers, IAPT. Also, he is working on editorial boards of various research journals. And the exceptional introduction of Dr. K.Y. Rajpure is that he is my student and a teacher is very happy and very lucky when such a student acquires such a great height in the area of research. Thank you.
So let me start. Patil sir.
So I request to respected Rajpure sir to start the today's third lecture, that is our third resource persons. Please start your lecture, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank organizers of two-day International Symposium on New Research Horizons in Nano and Radiation Materials. Especially, I would like to thank the principal of the college, Dr. Bal Kamble, IQC coordinator, head of the department, and my teacher, just now introduced me, respected Dr. M.A. Patil sir, co-convener Dr. Thube sir, coordinator Dr. Badane sir, and secretary of this symposium, my colleague Dr. V.M. Nikale sir, Mr. B.S. Mahanuvar sir. I am the product of Red Shikshan Samstha Satara, and I have always privileged to talk to the stakeholders of the Red Shikshan Samstha Satara. I have graduated from Science College Lonant in 1992, and most of the administrative officers of the Red Shikshan Samstha Satara, especially principal and secretary and joint secretary, they are my teachers. So I am always delighted to be amongst you all. So thank you very much. I would like to share another fact that this is the second occasion that, third occasion that I am in front of the audience of Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya, Karjat. So it was 10 years back, long back, when Professor Michael Newman Spelak, Professor C.H. Bhosle had been to one of the conferences at Srigonda. Then Dr. N.S. Gaikwad was principal of Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya, Karjat. So we had a very fruitful and interactive discussion with the students of Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya, Karjat. Secondly, I had been to Karjat to deliver one of the invited talks on X-ray diffraction and ritual refinement in front of the students at college. So then Professor M.A. Patil sir, he was kind enough to invite me and give me opportunity to talk to the student. And this is the third time that I am once again in front of you, and I wish to be very happy to be amongst you. So thank you very much, the organizers. I wish to uh, thank all my uh, teachers, especially I can see Dr. J.B. Thorat sir. He also is among the audience. So I'm thankful to him also. I'm thankful to all my research students who have joined uh, this meeting, and also all research fraternity for their presence. The topic of my talk is recent trends in materials research, and I belongs to the institute which has got a very beautiful, having biodiversity and a very lush green campus with nice storage of water on the campus. From Shivaji University Kolhapur, I am working as a professor at the Department of Physics at Shivaji University Kolhapur. Also, I am working as head of UC and CFC departments of the university. I am also working as a coordinator of the Sophisticated Analytical Instrumentation Facility, DST SAIP Center of Government of India at Shivaji University Kolhapur. So the topic of my today's talk is recent trends in materials research. As you know, Shivaji University has been situated to the southwest corner of Maharashtra, very near to Karnataka, and it is far away from Karjat, maybe 400 kilometers or even more than that. Since my completion of postgraduate degree, I have been engaged in the research in materials science. So since last 25 years, I am working in the materials research area. I have worked both on bulk materials and thin film materials, and I have used all these materials for various applications, especially porous silica aerosols, composite oxide magnetic materials for any applications, chalcogenides and transparent conducting oxide thin films by very economical and cheap and very simple chemical techniques for energy harvesting, conversion, and storage devices. Especially, we are using these thin films for a solar cell, gas sensor, catalysis, UV detector, and memristor applications. Here I have showed the my research in a nutshell. Most quantum of the work has been carried out in the solar cell, tissues, photocatalysis, gas sensors, ME composite, UV detector, membristors, and we have prepared most of the work has been carried out in investigation of metal oxide semiconductor thin films by chemical methods. And for my contribution to the work in material science in 2015, Maharashtra Academy of Sciences has rewarded me by offering the membership. As we know, the material science or the material itself is a very broad and vital field of knowledge, and it has been the foundation stone of the modern technology societies. And it is an interdisciplinary topic where the knowledge of physics, chemistry, biology, computer engineering, chemical engineering, electronic engineering, all it is the understanding and utilization of the properties of the matter through interdisciplinary approach. So if one wants to wish to do research, because my topic is dedicated to the recent trends in material science research, so let me spend some time, allow me to talk some time to on the motivation of the research, what are the components of the research, what are the challenges as far as the research in material science is concerned. So, as well you know, we carry out research for various purposes, and the very purpose they vary from getting academic degree, solving one particular unsolved problems. So we keep desire to be to service to the society, and we have intellectual joy of doing some research work. So amongst these, one important desire one should have, one should solve the local problems, and our work should be service to the society. Therefore, we should motivate ourselves to do the research, and research in material science particularly. So what after all research is? So research means our journey from unknown to known or known to unknown, vice versa. And in the research, we always look for gaining new knowledge, and it is the art of scientific investigation, and it is the art of careful investigation of new facts. So what are various steps involved in the research? So when we have something in our mind, so we have in our mind to gain some new knowledge, extra knowledge. So we need to read something. You should think on that topic and formulate a hypothesis of our research. Based on our hypothesis, we define a problem. And a problem contains collecting, organizing some data and evaluate that data, make assessment of data. Based on that assessment, you make your conclusions, and these conclusions are to be tested with the hypothesis. And this process continuously goes on, and you formulate new hypothesis, again come to the conclusion, and this process happens until you get a right solution or you are very near to the solution. So these are the various steps in research. What are major challenges as far as research in material science is concerned? We need to focus our attention in the generation, conservation, and distribution of energy, because the non-conventional energy resources, they are, we need to use the solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, and other forms of energy, because the traditional sources, they are depleting very fast, and we need to look for the generation of energy for our purpose, for the welfare of mankind, for the mankind, its conservation and its distribution also. So this is one of the challenges. We need to investigate some materials, some method for the energy generation and conservation and distribution. We need to look for our environment. Our method should be environmental friendly. We need to get the clean water. We need to refine the medical waste. We need to keep our eye on the climate change, and etc. etc. So as far as security and global security, social security is concerned, we need to develop some diagnostic services based upon the sensors and protecting system. So we need to fabricate some material, lightweight materials, for the and development of storage media, etc. etc. So security is another concern as far as challenge in material science is concerned. So we need to develop our infrastructure, national infrastructure, and we need to have some infrastructure to fight against national disasters and the terrorist threats, etc. etc. We need to achieve minimum energy utilization and low cost vehicles as far as transportation problem is concerned. And we need to achieve high speed vehicles. And as we are suffering from the corona pandemic, we need to have some the concrete solutions for health and welfare of the human being. So these are the few concerns as far as the research in material science is concerned. So material science means we investigate material, we create, process new material, we test, we characterize it, test its properties, and then test its performance. So we characterize it in terms of structure and properties. And we always look for a new material which is lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, and durable. So as far as the components in material science, they are concerned, as I told, processing, synthesis, then the structural characterization, compositional characterization, physical and physicochemical characterization, like microstructure, macrostructure, substructure, crystal structure, and nuclear structure, electronic structure, etc. etc. We need to investigate these. We need to have attention on these properties of the material, physicochemical properties. And the properties, they are mechanical properties, thermal properties, electrical properties, magnetic properties, optical property. I am just giving a general perspective. When somebody peeps into research in material science, what are the aspects you need to look upon? And I need to give some general idea about the research in material science. And the applications, they are in physics, chemistry, life science, engineering, and industry. So we need to have our eye on application, look for the property in such a way that we tailor the structural and composition or structure and composition of a material with the help of given processing system. Materials as can be natural materials, and they can be man-made materials, natural materials like wood, or the man-made materials like plastic. To the mankind, till now, more than 3 lakh materials are known. And these materials, they are constantly investigated and tested for various applications. And here I am giving the representative list of the materials which are strongly investigated, which are well investigated. For example, the magnetic materials, superconducting materials, thermoelectric materials, supercapacitors, energy devices, electronic materials, biomaterials, semiconductors, graphene, polymer materials, composite materials, nanomaterials, then optical and photonic materials. So let me give me the account of some of the materials which I have listed, and then I will go for the what are the current trends in research of material science, and then I will put in front of you the various doors which are open for you to do research in the materials science. So permanent magnet. Traditionally, these permanent magnet, they are based upon the ferromagnetic property of the materials, and the ferromagnetic materials like iron, nickel, and cobalt, and their alloys, and the alloys of rare earth metals and minerals such as lodestone, they are frequently utilized for preparation of the permanent magnet traditionally. But the new generation permanent magnetic materials, they are aluminum, nickel, cobalt, samarium cobalt, alloys, NdFeB, and these are being used in the storage media, robots, and the sensing sound. So list of the materials I have given here. They are NdFeB, AlNiCO, ZrCO, SrFeO, VaFeO, MnSi, SmCO, FeSi, COPT, Fe2O3, etc. etc. Though these are costly materials, their fabrication cost is cost, but so far as magnetic strength, their corrosion resistance, and operating temperatures are concerned, they are highly advantageous. So, owing to the cost of the materials, we can look at these properties. Superconductor. We know when a material, uh, when we bring the material at a critical temperature, at its critical temperature, then ordinary conductor loses its conducting property and it becomes superconductor, and it offers no resistance to the flow of the current. And this phenomena was invented in 1911 by Camerlin, and the phenomenon of superconductivity in mercury at 4.2 Kelvin was discovered, that we know. Then the efforts of the people, it was centered around investigating new materials to increase the this critical temperature, because achieving critical temperature 4.2 K itself is a very challenge. Therefore, and preparing any device or application which will be working at this low temperature is not practical approach. Therefore, the effort were centered around investigating new materials to increase the critical temperature of the material, and investigating new materials whose critical temperature can be increased. And in 1986, high tissue superconductor based upon YbCO, visco, and lanthanum decahydrate, whose critical temperature is around 250 Kelvin, it was reported. So people are constantly thinking on the various, they are changing their properties, they are changing, they are looking for the nanocrystalline materials, they are looking for various composites, doping, and they wish to increase the temperature up to room temperature so that the applications such as the levitation train and other applications, very attractive applications of the superconductors, it can be materialized. Thermoelectric materials are the another materials which works on the property that it converts heat into electrical energy and vice versa. And in 1823, Seebeck observed that temperature difference causes the voltage. And people are developing state-of-art strategies for high-performance thermoelectric materials. They are establishing a link between synthesis and characterization for underlying physics and chemistry. These advanced thermoelectric materials, they may improve the refrigeration efficiency of air. For example, if certain air conditioner requires some 10 minutes to cool the room, then it may take 1 minute or so, even less than that. So in this way, the refrigeration efficiency, they are improving. Energy storage materials, particularly the batteries and lithium ion batteries, lead acid batteries, based upon the supercapacitor. We know our smartphone and even laptops and many electronic gadgets, they use the batteries, chargeable batteries. And this is a very huge market as far as international community is concerned. So the supercapacitors based upon the ruthenium oxide, manganese oxide, cobalt oxide, nickel oxide, vanadium oxide, means all metal oxides. They are constantly investigated, but people are looking for the substitute to the metal oxides, and they are working on the polymers. They are working on the carbonate materials. They are looking at the nanocrystalline materials for preparation of the new materials for supercapacitor application. Their aim is to increase the time for charging and charging, particularly rapid charging and longer discharging. And they want to increase the number of cycles charging and discharging cycle. So pulsed power capacitors or the hybrid capacitor vehicles, this also is another application which they are looking for. And the supercapacitance of the order of 10 kilofarad per gram has been achieved in case of many supercapacitor materials. So energy storage device is another field where people are working hard. Energy harvesting materials, particularly photocatalysis and water splitting. So they use the electrochemical approach and the abundantly available solar energy for degrading the chemical compound or production of hydrogen by water splitting. And for that, they are using titanium oxide, tungsten trioxide, zinc oxide, barium titanate. These are the materials which are constantly investigated for energy harvesting and storage devices. For example, in our laboratory, we are working, since last 10 years, we are working on various metal oxide semiconductors for using them as the photocatalyst in the photocatalysis, where the transparent conducting oxides and the photocatalyst materials are the metal oxide thin films deposited over the transparent electrodes. And we are constantly investigating the materials like TiO2, iron oxide, zinc oxide, tungsten trioxide, and other ternary oxide. We are trying doping, we are increasing surface to volume ratio, we are working on the composite between various materials for the effective, for increasing the efficiency of our prototype reactor, 9-cell reactor. In this, the prospective material they can be looked upon are the carbon nitride, carbon dioxide, or copper oxide, bismuth vanadate, because they find a suitable position as far as energy potential, energy diagram, potential versus pH diagram, or the potential diagram is concerned. So people are working on the organic semiconductor photocatalyst, inorganic semiconductor photocatalyst, their mixture, or organic, inorganic semiconductor photocatalyst also. Fuel cell. We know the fuel cell, it converts chemical energy into electricity. So we have two gases and they are allowed to have oxidation and reduction reaction in various compartments on which produce the electricity. And if solid oxide is used as the electrolyte, then it is called as SOFC or solid oxide fuel cell. And energy saving strategies based upon SOFC has been emerged recently and it is emerging rapidly. And the popular SOFC materials, they are YSZ, SCSZ, GDC, where they have achieved the efficiency over 60% and operating lifetime of the order of 40,000 hours or so. So as I said, the materials investigated are yttrium stabilized zirconia, YSZ, lanthanum strontium manganate, YSZ, lanthanum strontium chromium oxide, etc., etc., zirconia. Optoelectronic photonic material based on the direct band gap materials like 3,5 semiconductor, gallium arsenide, indium phosphide, gallium nitride, gallium arsenide, etc., etc. So electronic, optical, and photonic materials, semiconductor materials, they are frequently used in the electronic gadgets like PCs, hard drives, cell phones, etc., etc. So the applications like laser diodes, then light emitting diodes, photodetectors, imaging detectors, they are best upon the optoelectronic and photonic materials. Very attractive, very useful, very miniaturized devices and gadgets based upon the semiconducting oxides, composite, direct band gap semiconductor magnetic materials, particularly the materials based upon the spintronic devices, where metal insulator and metal configuration is used, where they use Ab2 O3 type of materials, perovskite materials, ferrite materials for preparing these gadgets. Nanotechnology has changed the overall approach of the material science research. And always everybody is talking about nano, nano, and nano. It has become an interdisciplinary approach as far as research in material science is concerned. So if you prepare the material in 3-dimension, 2-dimension, 1-dimension, or 0-dimension nano, then it has got tremendous applications in optical, magnetic, catalysis, microelectronic, pharmaceutical, storage technology, and energy conversion industries. And I cannot just list the applications based upon the nanomaterials, but I can tell for if you take the carbon as a material, it can be prepared in various dimensions as far as the nanocrystalline form of the material is concerned. It can be prepared as a quantum dot, 0-dimensional fullerene, then 1-dimensional nanotubes, this carbon nanotubes. I am coming to this. Then 2-dimensional graphene sheets of the carbon, and graphite is the best example of 3-dimensional nanocrystalline material. So if the particle size of the material, if it is less than 100 nanometers, it is of the order of 10 nanometers or so. We call it as the material in nanocrystalline form, where the surface to volume ratio increases. And the same material, if it is not useful in one particular application, it shows very nice properties and it becomes a very important and crucial materials in certain applications. So nanotechnology is the another field. It's a very prominent field which has been attracted by many researchers. The one-dimensional mesoferrous nanostructures like wires, fibers, rods, tubes, and belts, they are also investigated constantly for applications in sensors, catalysis, energy storage and conversion, SRV, and many other applications. Some applications where the scratch resistance forming glass and thermal insulating composite materials, they play a very key and integral role in the ceramic and glasses. So the diffusion of potassium ions far into the surface of the glass SiO2 creates high compressive strength, And that is the reason why we have a scratch resistance Corning Gorilla Glass to our shelf launch. So this also is a very attractive and crucial material field in which you can work. And thermal insulating composite materials, hmm, based upon or for the aerospace industry, this also it has become very important. Polymer technology. This also has carved a place in the field of electronic and very other materials, electrical materials, textile industries. The polyaniline like or the polymers like PANI, PPY, PT, PSC, polyfuran, polyzulin, etc., etc. These are the representative polymers. We have non-conducting polymers and conducting polymers as well. These conducting polymers, they have attracted the polymer technology and the industries. They are textile industries, aerospace industries, electronic and electrical material industry, automobile industry, where this polymer material, polymer technology is used. Carbon nanotube based fibers. CNT means carbon nanotube. So we can have single wall CNT or you have multi wall CNT. It is very difficult to prepare single wall carbon nanotube, and preparing multi wall carbon nanotube is relatively easy. But this single wall carbon nanotube has variety of applications. For example, in medicine, these carbon nanotubes they are used for drug delivery, biosensor, tissue regeneration, cancer treatment, 3D scan fold, bioimaging, etc. etc. So these CNTs, they have got extremely high specific strengths and modular, and they have multi functionality in paper and textile industries. Computational material science research is another field which is attracting. This you can say as it is the interdisciplinary field where the theoretical physics and condensed matter physics work hand in hand. So here we compute and design a material on computer program by making use of DFT, molecular dynamics, kinetic Monte Carlo, dislocation dynamics, phase field method, crystal plasticity method, or finite element method for tailoring the material properties on computer. So we have various simulations for getting one particular property of the material. So we can tailor the material properties on computer, and then by giving the uh, best parameters for synthesis, we can prepare the material by in less time. We can shave our wastage of the time, and many trials and errors they can be simplified. Methods can be simplified. So computational material science research is another field where people are working constantly. Graphene, as I said, this is also one of the allotrope of the carbon. It's the strongest material, efficiently conducts heat and electricity. And we know the discovery of the two-dimensional graphene has provided an immense boost in the nanotechnology research. And they have got various applications, as I said, in sensors, aerospace, transistor, tissues, energy application, flexible electronics, and etc. etc. And the current research in the graphene is mainly focused upon the modification of graphene for enhancement in the different areas of nanoscience and technology. Quantum dots. These are one-dimensional nanostructures. These are referred to as the artificial atoms. And in case of 3-5 semiconductor, like direct band gap semiconductor, spin properties of the single electrons is very much useful as far as these materials in the quantum dot forms are used in the various applications. And the potential applications, they are single electron transistors, solar cell, light emitting diodes, quantum computing, and medical imaging. So this also is a very attractive and important one. Biomaterial has recently been attracted attention of the, and this has become an interdisciplinary approach for investigating the new materials like silicon rubber, dacron, cellulose, polytheron, hydrogel, stainless steel, titanium, aluminum, and these are the biomaterials where these materials field focuses on development of the new materials to replace human tissues and even human organs. Also, the metal characterization tools, advanced characterization tools like advanced microscope or spectroscope, or the testing equipments like HRTM, FESEM, spectroscope, SEMs, XPS, TEM, etc., etc. So they are useful in situ physical property measurement and monitoring. Uh, and this has facilitated researcher to do in-house multi-measurement on their samples. So advanced characterization tools is a major parameter. So this was about some of the list of the materials which are being investigated in various fields. And just I gave you the overview of the research which is being carried out in the material science. Now I will talk about little about the theme of my topic, which is the emerging trends in material sciences. Which are the attractive field among these fields? Silica aerogel. Of course, there are many emerging fields. Only few I have listed. Just representative examples, just to have a thought on to create a curiosity in your mind, so that you can choose a material or the field, emerging field for your prospective research. Silicon aerosol, conducting polymer, fullerene, thin film devices, 3D printing, nanoscale machining, titanium in aerospace industry, perovskite solars. So these are the few emerging trends in which research is continuously attractive research, or the people are attracting to are getting attracted towards these fields, and perspective research is going on in this field. For example, one of the research emerging field is the silica aerosol. So silica means SiO2, which is insulator when it is in stoichiometric form, when it is in the condensed form, solid form. But when we prepare this silica via sol-gel route, where the solvent is replaced by air, it is called as aerosol, it has got tremendous applications. This is almost weightless material. We have almost 100% air in the material and only 0.2% silica, and it is transparent also. So very lightweight, very density is very low, highly transparent. It makes a very attractive material to use it in various applications like thermal insulation, liquid rocket propellant. That is very important application in supercapacitor, in catalyst, in active agents, and for tissue engineering. So these are the inorganic materials where the aerosols are prepared with the help of silica material. For example, as I have to, we have titanium, alumina-based aerosols also. These are inorganic aerosols. People are working, investigating organic aerosols also. For example, resorcinol formaldehyde aerosol. For a time, for a while, I worked on this RF aerosol also in my initial phase of the research. People are working on hybrid type of aerosols also, where organic, inorganic mixture is. So this also is attractive field, and people can look for this. They can think of choosing this field as a field of their interest. Conducting polymers. So conducting polymers, this is the discriminating layer in the electronic chemical sensor. We have non-conducting insulating polymers also and conducting polymers also. So as I said, they can be insulators, semiconductors, and metals. Our traditional plastic, they are electrical insulators. But chemical sensor based on conducting polymers, this is the attractive field of the research. And this is one of the perspective field of the research. Fullerene, as I told, so one-dimensional, the hello, पाटील सर काय अडचण झाली का?
No, sir. No, sir. You are
Hello?
audible, sir. No problem.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can, sir. Please.
Okay. So fullerene is another field which we can think of where it is used in the drug delivery. I have already explained about this. Thin film devices, which I would please give me some time for talking about these thin film devices. These are the next generation devices based upon the memory and various processors. As I told, since last 25 years, we are working in the material science research, and one field is the thin film physics. We are preparing thin films, mainly chalcogenide and metal oxide thin films, transparent conducting oxide thin films, ME composites, oxide semiconductors, to use them in solar cell, tissues, then memory star, photocatalysis, gas sensors, and UV detectors. So these are the few applications which we are investigating in our laboratory. So this is also a very attractive field. So we know thin film is the device, or a thin film is the material which is supported on a substrate. It is spread in 2 dimension and it is restricted along third dimension. And the thickness of this thin film is less than 1 micrometer, 10,000 angstrom. And this thin film material or thin film field has achieved the technological breakthrough in various areas like recording media, semiconductor devices, light emitting diodes, optical coatings, hard coating tools, energy generation, storage devices, pharmaceuticals, etc. etc. Please give me some time to have some water.
I request to respected Rajpuri sir, please start your video. Actually, audience, yes sir, yes sir. Now it's okay, sir. Fine.
Just I took a while for taking some water. Sorry for. So this thin film has achieved technological breakthroughs in various areas I was mentioning. And these areas, they are hard coating devices, energy generation, energy storage, and pharmaceuticals. When you think of preparing these materials via various routes, thin film materials, you have variety of choices. You can go through physical methods or chemical methods of thin film preparation. We know physical methods of thin film preparation, they are vacuum evaporation and sputtering, and chemical method, they are gas phase and liquid phase technique. In the physical method, the physical form of the material, for example, they are solid initially, they are converted into liquid, they are converted into vapor, and at this vapor, they are condensed in the form of the solid. So material and its stoichiometry doesn't change. What changes is the physical state of the material. Solid to liquid, liquid to gas, gas to again solid. So vacuum evaporation and sputtering, in order to increase the mean free path, and for having a very nice and very what you can say, highly crystalline deposit, vacuum evaporation is suggested. And the wastage of the material can be avoided by using the sputtering technique, where we use ionized gas for the deposition. In the gas phase chemical technique, the ingredients in the chemical, in the gaseous form, they are allowed to interact, degrade, react at very high temperature, and deposition takes place. But the liquid phase chemical method of thin film depositions, they are very simple, they are very easy, they are cost effective, and they are very easy to handle. And the time, they are not time consuming. And few list is liquid deposition, CPD, CLR, spray, soldier, spin, hydrothermal. I can talk on these methods in a separate lecture also. But you can choose these methods. I suggest you, I encourage you to follow these methods, and that will save your time and money as well. And you can do your research in your home, even in your any laboratory, in your college laboratory, you can undertake the research. So as I said, physical methods, they have got their disadvantages. They are costly. They require vacuum. So for getting vacuum itself require very much time. For example, 3 hours to 4 hours are needed to achieve 10 to the power of -6 torr. The operating temperature is high, time consuming, and cooling systems are needed. Therefore, I suggest the chemical methods, and in the chemical method, these gas phase chemical methods, they are not environmental friendly and they operate at very high temperature. So I suggest these methods, chemical methods like chemical bath deposition, spin coating, deep coating, then solder taking, coating, then spray paralysis, slot casting, Dr. Blade method, Silar method, hydrothermal method. Many methods are there, and list continues. And you can easily prepare the material. The material or the thin film prepared with this chemical method, they are comparable in terms of properties with the films prepared with the help of physical methods. So next trends in material science research is the 3D printing. So we can see these are the jewelry. You can prepare the molds for the jewelry and you can prepare the jewelry as well. So this is the jewelry prepared with the help of 3D printing technique. So this field also is very attracting to the researcher in the gift industry, in the personalized art, and at many places this 3D printing is used. Nanoscale machining for preparing, for tailoring the properties of the material, for designing a material of your interest, you can use the nanoscale machining. And the material structure and device properties, they can be easily tailored with the help of nanoscale machining. Titania in the aerospace industries, where the titania is used in the door components, gear component, wing components of the aeroplane, they are extensively. So this also is a very attractive field in the aerospace industry. And last field which I thought I should share with you is the perovskite solar cell. This solar cell based upon the compound 1AbO3 type of structure. So here you can work on inorganic perovskite solar cell. You can work on organic perovskite solar cell also. So we have organic inorganic combination also, like CSINI3, CSPBI3, CSPBI2, PR, etc., etc. All the, so you can work on only organic, only you can work on only inorganic type of solar cell. So the band gap of this perovskite solar cell, it matches with the energy of the visible radiation around 1.3 electron volt hour, and the efficiency of the order of 33%, 33 to 34% have been achieved. So this can be used along with other technique, other metal oxide like titanium or nickel oxide, and you have back and front contacts, and this efficiency can be achieved. So perovskite solar cell is another field where you can look for your research. I need to acknowledge the help rendered by all my research students. 14 students have completed their PhD under my supervision. 2 have completed a PhD, and another 5 they are working for their PhD. And most of these students, they have completed their PhD in the fields which just now I have put in front of all of you. So I take this opportunity to thank all the participants and organizers for their active participation and allowing me, giving me this opportunity to present my opinion about the current trends in material science research. So the participants, they can ask their questions in the chat box, and the organizer, they may ask their questions, or
Okay,
they can directly ask me the questions.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for such a inspirational and motivational talk. Uh, it's really privilege to all the audience as well as all the participants and all of
I'm
us.
not able to listen to you. Sorry.
So am I audible now?
I will use the cord so that I can clearly listen to your voice. Huh.
Yes, sir. I'm very much thankful to respected Rajpure sir for such a motivational and inspirational talk.
Okay, thank you.
There are very huge amount of data you already shared in front of all the audience and participants, sir. So
Okay.
I hope they all are enjoyed from your lecture. So they have some queries or some questions. They put it in chat box. So I will ask one by one.
Okay.
First question asked by Gitartha Chakrabarti.
Mhm.
The question is, in photocatalysis, when do we use photoanode and when do we use photocathode?
So depending on the catalyst material, the catalyst, if it is anode, then you use the anode as the photocatalyst. And if you deposit your catalyst on the cathode, then you can use the, but generally it is photocathode, because for using the catalyst in photocatalysis, we use a PEC configuration where you have two electrodes, anode and cathode, and you apply a bias. You illuminate that semiconductor with the help of electromagnetic radiation for successful creation of electron and hole, and their successful, uh, what you can say, uh, utilization for the degradation of the compound. You need a cathode to be catalyst. An anode cannot be. I have not used anode as a catalyst material.
Same person asking one more question, sir. Can we use both simultaneously?
No.
Okay, sir. And another question is that how do we synthesize such a photoanode and photocathode in terms of
I have explained in front of you various methods for preparation of these anodes. These anodes, they can be single crystalline anodes, but effectively, if we prepare these anodes in thin film form, then they are very much useful. If you prepare them in the nanocrystalline form, then we increase surface to volume ratio, and therefore it is always advised to prepare these cathodes in the thin film form, and you can use chemical methods for preparation of these anodes, cathodes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Next question is from Githartha Chakrabarti once again. In photocatalysis, how do we stop the electron-hole pair recombination?
So this we can, of course, I can talk 1 or 2 hours on photocatalysis because it is my area of the research. This also is one of the lectures. But there are various means of decreasing the recombination, which decreases the efficiency of photocatalysis. One important means is we apply electrical bias. One, so it becomes photoelectrocatalysis. So applying electrical bias, the rate of recombination can be decreased. This is one way. Another way is to form a composite between the higher bandgap material and lower bandgap material, so that ultraviolet part and visible part both can be harnessed, and the successful or effective utilization or the separation of these charge carriers can be done. So this is another way. You can use the sensitizers, for example, dye sensitizers, for um, decreasing the, and there are of course various ways of doing, and we can do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One of the research fellow, Miss Deepa Rani, asking one question, sir. Among different chemical methods, which method is suitable to produce oxide thin film?
Same for preparation of oxide thin film, you blindly go for spray paralysis technique. Spray paralysis is born to produce the oxide thin films. Of course, it doesn't. It do not create the stoichiometric thin films, but they result, or the spray paralysis creates the non-stoichiometric thin films. But these non-stoichiometric thin film itself, they are very much useful. Therefore, I will advise to go for spray paralysis technique.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One question asking from some of the audience, one of the fundamental questions, sir.
Okay.
How standard graphene can be identified and characterized?
So graphene in its pure form is the material of a carbon, and you can use the chemical method for understanding what is the content of the material. So chemical characterization methods can be used, and if it is in the and its structure can be investigated by means of spectroscopic technique or diffraction techniques. This can be easily done.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Next question is from audience. What are the basic difference between thin film and thick film? and which one is better for conductivity?
Thick film is another field, and thin film is a very important field of. We are working in the thin film. If the thickness of the material, if it is less than 1 micrometer, roughly we define this as a boundary between thick film and thin film. Thick film itself is a bulk material. Therefore, we cannot think of a thick film. It is a bulk material itself. So, if we prepare a thick film where your crystalline structure is very continuous and your properties of the materials, your grainy structure is uniform, then the conductivity is less even in case of thick film. So generally, if you decrease the thickness, resistivity increases, then the conductivity decreases.
Okay,
so
sir.
thick
Thank
film
you
can
so
be
much, sir.
used as the conducting materials, but generally preparing thick film of a very high conductivity also is a very difficult. We have
Thank you, sir.
prepared thin film with the help of spray paralysis and other chemical techniques, where the resistance of the order of even 1 ohm per square centimeter we have achieved. And not only that, resistivity of the order of 10 to the power of minus 3 per ohm centimeter, that is conductivity of the order of 10 to the power of 3 per ohm per centimeter, approaching to the metal we have achieved.
Okay.
So why to go for thick film then?
Sir.
We are doing it in thin film. We are achieving it in thin film.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One of the faculty from Sangamner College, Dr. Prashant Bhaviskar, sir, asking one question. What is the lifetime of perovskite solar cell?
Lifetime of the perovskite solar cell is the concern, of course. It is very, but that we can increase. Of course, this question was discussed at other forum also. But this is a very important issue. Though perovskite solar cell, the lifetime of the perovskite solar cell, it is very less, but its efficiency is the attractive feature. Therefore, the people like you, they should come up and think of the possible solution for improving the band gap, the lifetime of the. So that is burning issue and very attracting field on which you can work on.
Okay, sir. One of the question asking by Pricey Angelina, how to interrelate the thin films with photoluminescence?
Photoluminescence.
Yes.
Photoluminescence and thin film. Of course, we can observe photoluminescence in thin film, but the material should be luminescent, and the luminescent property is the origin of, or it is due to impurity. If it is a perfect crystal, then luminescence will not occur. Therefore, the thin film, it is a huge source of impurities, we know, and therefore we can observe luminescence in thin film. I don't work in that area, but people are working in that.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Satish Gaikwad asking one question. Which main property of graphene have a nanomaterial?
Conductivity.
Yes.
Conductivity and strength. These are the two properties which are very much attracted by the researcher.
Okay. One of the fellow Shahnawaz Ali, he's asking one question. How can we confirm whether a given sample or material is a nanomaterial or bulk material?
No. Nanomaterial and bulk material, no. Nanomaterial, or you can say micro material, or our ordinary material. So with the help of the technique like TEM, with the help of the technique like X-ray, even with the help of X-ray diffraction, you can confirm your material whether it is nanocrystalline or what. You find the crystallite size with the help of Shearer formula, 0.9 lambda divided by beta cos theta, and you can easily find out the particle size. And this, if the crystallite size is less than 100 nanometer, you can say that your material is nanocrystalline. If it is greater than 100 nanometer, generally the thin film, the crystallite size is less than 100 nanometer. So all thin film materials, of course, not all, almost all the materials, thin film materials, they are nanocrystalline. And the bulk materials, in case of bulk also, we have a nanocrystalline property.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One more fellow, Gitartha Chakraborty, asking one question. Can we synthesize photocathode nanomaterials by laser ablation method in solvent?
We can prepare with the help of laser ablation method. Of course, this is laser ablation is the physical method, of course. So it becomes very costly method, and there are restrictions on the size of the substrate. Therefore, instead of going for laser ablation, why can't you go for chemical method? So that even the size of the or the area of the material or area of the electrode um, of the order of say 100 centimeters square, even 200 centimeters square have been achieved in our group. Therefore, chemical methods are suggested, but it is possible. But size of the electrode will be less.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One more postdoctoral fellow, Preeti Kulkarni. She's asking one question. What is the best method for preparing thin film of nanophosphor powder material for application purposes?
For
For application purposes. Question,
so
I
it
repeat
depends.
the
It
question.
depends. It depends on for what which materials you are going to prepare. If your material, if it prepares, if it is fabricated or it degrades or forms at a relatively high temperature, then you cannot use low temperature method. You can straightly go to CVD or spray paralysis or physical method or other method. But if you are material, if it is formed even at low temperature, maybe less than 200 degrees centigrade, you can go for low temperature methods. You can go for Shillar method. You can go for CVD method, electrode deposition, and post-preparative parameters will lead to formation of the compound which you are looking for. So depending on what material you are preparing and depending on where you are using and what is the size and what is the uh, particle size of the material which you are looking for, you can decide the material method.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking lots of questions and
No,
guide.
I can take many questions as because you might be knowing this is the second lecture which I am taking as far as Rayat Shiksha Sanstha's college is concerned at Ahmednagar district. In the morning, I have taken one lecture in uh, which was that college? Sriram College.
RBNB, sir.
Sriram College. So there also I took one lecture on general modern physics topic like Bose-Einstein condensation, and this is the second lecture I have taken.
Yes,
And
sir. We know.
I'm very much happy to answer to the questions by the audience. You see, the questions are arised in two cases. If the lecture is completely understood,
Yes,
then many questions are
yes, sir.
raised, and if they
Exactly, sir.
and the questions are not there in two cases. If it is completely understood, if it is not complete, if it is not understood. So I think a few of the students, they have mm, listened it carefully and they have questions in their mind. Of course, they can ask mm, the questions to me, because at the end of the slide I have given my email address, and they can go for my website. Rajpure.com is the my website, and you can share that website www.rajpure.com, where all contact details are there. So I'm typing it. Rajpure.com is my website.
Sir, there is one basic question asking by Manik Pawar. What
Uh-huh.
is use of graphene in daily life?
Oh, there are many
Yes,
applications
sir.
of
There
the
are many.
graphene, of course, but people, they don't use this such a costly and very delicate and nanocrystalline material in our regular. But there are industrial applications.
Uh, some of the fellows asking your about your email ID, sir. So
Email address, it is given in my on webpage rajpure.com. Visit my webpage rajpure.com, and their email addresses, three email addresses, they are given.
okay, sir. And we will also share your detailed information or including the email ID on
Sure,
Telegram as well as
sure,
WhatsApp
sure,
group,
sure.
sir. So once again, very much thankful to share your valuable speech and valuable lecture in front of audience, all the participants, and all the register members.
Okay.
So
I once
thank you.
again thank respected Dr. M. A. Patil sir and his fellow colleagues for the invitation. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining with us.